Welcome to Here's What I Learned, a podcast that pulls back the curtain on running a coaching business. I'm Jackie Hayes, your host and certified online business manager. I partner with coaches ready to transition from one-on-one coaching to group coaching programs. In my work, I see the day-to-day struggles and celebrations, missteps and triumphs that routinely happen in a coaching business. And on this podcast, my guests and I shine a light on it all. So sit back, take notes, and enjoy. On today's episode, I have Kristin Lawton. Kristin is a brand and digital marketing consultant, content creator, and marketing coach. She has over 15 years' experience directing communications and branding strategies. With Kristin's marketing and project management expertise, she's able to leverage consumer insights to drive brand and campaign strategies, shaping future marketing plans. So what is it that excites you about the work that you do?
So I love seeing a business's brand come to life and to help them really get clarity on what makes them unique and how to sort of show that throughout all of their marketing.
And when you say brand, what is brand? Because I think there's a lot of terms out there that can get interchanged: brand identity, branding. Can we have a little bit of a one-on-one on what all of that is?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So for me, the brand is the full experience that someone can experience with your brand. So it is every touch point, that sort of an external touch point that any audience, client, customer, follower experiences or interacts with. So basically it's the external view of your business. Branding is that foundation of the brand. And it's that, what you are putting out into the world and what story you're telling, what's the visual story you're telling, what's the message that you're saying, what's the content. To me, branding is much larger than just, I think, your logo and your look and feel, or that most people think. To me, it also encompasses a lot of your marketing, but it's really that full foundation of the external piece of your business.
So when you get started with a client, what are some of the first steps that you take?
So for me, it's all about the audience. So I start with understanding the audience that they're really, aiming for, or we start with, even some of my clients, I go back to the business plan to then understand who their audience is. But if they have a good sense of who their audience is, it is really about, because in a brand story, it's about your hero, who is your audience and your client and the person that you're solving their pain points for. And so for me, it starts with understanding who their audience is, and really what's the pain points, what are we solving for, what's the transformation that, your clients or customers are looking for. And because much of our messaging and brand story talks to that, but also we want to make sure that our brand, our look and feel and the visual aspects are something that your ideal audience is going to relate to and be compelled to, hit follow and stuff. So we start with the ideal audience, and then we go back to, okay, what makes you unique? What's this brand about? But it starts with the audience.
What are some of the questions you might ask your clients in helping them define who their ideal audience is?
So we think about, some people have a person in mind of who they want to work with, or maybe they've worked with someone in the past and that's sort of that visual person. So, a lot of times I'm do you have someone that you picture, right? Let's put a name to that person. But really it's about, why are they coming to you? Especially, and I work with a lot of solopreneurs and there are a lot of service providers and coaches. And so if someone's coming to work with you as a coach, like why are they coming to you? And what are you helping them through? So, you really want to get to the pain points. That's one of the biggest things that is going to move them through sort of this awareness journey with you. And so they understand what, if you want to put out content that's like, I feel that you're going through this thing, I can solve it for you, or I've been in your shoes and look where I am now type thing. You want to talk to them where they're at, and then walk them through sort of what the transformation would be. So a lot of it is about, what I sort of turn the question back to them. It's like, what are you hearing from your clients or the people that you want to work with? What problems are they struggling with? What are they finding it hard, or where are they stuck? And what is it about your solution, your product, your service, the way you approach your coaching that is going to solve it for them? And then the other thing I focus on is also like, because in addition to branding, I work a lot with marketing. It's like, okay, where are we finding them? Where are they hanging out, online or in person? Where are those places that they may come in contact with you?
You mentioned the awareness journey. For those who don't know, what is the awareness journey?
So the awareness journey is basically you want to take someone from an unknown, so they are unknown to your brand, to a client or customer. So the way that we sort of move them through this journey is you start with being unaware. And so for them, you want to talk to them about their pain points and their problems that they're having, because they are experiencing those problems, but they may not recognize it as something that can be solved for. And so you're speaking to their problems. So then they're problem aware. They know what their problem is, and that they have one that maybe it can solve for it, but they're not sure what solutions are out there. So then, in your content stuff, you're speaking to what your service, your product, what it is that, if you're coaching, like, here's why coaching can be the ideal thing to help you get unstuck and get your problem solved. So then that's the solution aware. So then we move to person or product aware. So this is where you want them to really get sold that you are the person to solve their problem. This is, you talking about testimonials and case studies and your personal experience and bringing out your personality and really convincing them that you are the person to do this. And then you move to aware. And that's when you have sort of taken them through the whole process and shown that, okay, you're the person that I want to work with. And then they sign and become a client or customer.
Now, do you want to, when you're doing your marketing, are you reaching out to somebody who's only in one particular one of those stages of the awareness journey, or are you wanting to kind of hit people across the board? How does that work?
Yeah, for the most part, you're going to want content that hits across the board. So you're really focused on the three in the middle: the problem aware, solution aware, and person aware. And so you're speaking to all three of those in your content, because you want to hit people. You're going to hit people at every stage, and you want to continue to take them through and sort of have this cycle. So for the most part, unless you are, speaking to a community that you already have formed or people that are already following you, maybe you can jump into and really just focus on the person aware. But for the most part, you're going to hit people at every point of the stages. Mm-hmm.
And you talked about, making sure you bring in what's unique about you, to help them make decisions. There's a lot of things that are unique about me, let's just say. How do I know which things are relevant to bring in, and which things are not?
Yeah. I think then this goes back to, again, your audience, and then what you're serving, what your offer is, your brand, and really like niching down and understanding what it is about your brand that is special. So for instance, my business, I have like a bar theme, it's a cocktail theme. And so it's a way to connect, marketing and branding into something that's a little more fun and something that I really enjoy. But then I still also talk about other things. But I think a lot of it is about your brand story. And, you have a whole realm of stuff that you can talk about in your brand story, but it really comes down to like the who, what, when, where, why type thing, right? So the who we start off with, okay, who is your hero? And what's their problem? What, then you come in, you're the, guide that's going to help them solve this. What is it about you that is going to really solve their problem? So it's tying it back to the audience and their problems that you're solving for, what experience you're bringing to the table. And if, a lot of people, it turns out their audience is also a version of their like former self. And so you what is going to compel them to work with you, and you want to sort of show that you've been in their shoes. And so I think a lot of it is just being relatable, and sort of when you have this brand story that's like, okay, it's your specific audience, which, yes, a lot of people have that audience. But when you tie it into like your service, which, is probably the way you approach it, the way you serve your, clients is different. And then the experience that you have, all that combined, like no one else has that formula. And so that in itself makes you unique. And then when you get into the wanting to like sell them on you, a lot of it's just a personality match, right? And seeing like, is this someone that I can work with? Is this someone I can relate to? Is this someone I look up to, or I feel that can mentor me? Or is the sessions, am I going to laugh through the sessions? Am I going to cry through the sessions? Like whatever it is. If you are sort of expressing just who you are in general and like showing your personality and your different hobbies and different things, that's going to make people be really, relatable. It's going to make you relatable. And so they're going to then want to work with you. And all of that is what makes you unique.
One of your recent Instagram posts, you were talking about someplace you went and they basically put a bowl in front of you with, fruit. And then you picked one and they made a drink from that fruit. And so it was a unique experience, a different way to have a cocktail made for it. It felt very personal then, I'm sure, to have this cocktail made. And you talked about this being a brand experience. How could somebody who's like, say, a coach look at that and think, okay, what kind of brand experience can I give that's unique like this to my clients?
Yeah, I just think a lot of it is about making people feel special, right? And in that experience, it's a new basket every day. They give you 5 different choices of fruits or vegetables that are like grown in their garden or like very locally sourced. And they they like have a cocktail menu that's only that day. So, that day, maybe only 3 other people have gotten this cocktail in the whole world because it's like unique to this place. And I think and that feels special and it feels custom and personalized to me. So, I think simple things like, knowing when their birthday is and, making note of that, or sending them, anyone that purchases like one of my products, they get like a handwritten note from me, like thanking them. If you're still trying to like get that client, it's not just that one conversation over like Instagram DMs. It's, checking in on them on a regular basis, following their stories, like commenting on them, showing that you are like sticking through with them and giving them that, making them feel special, right? When you're done working with the client, or maybe if they've hit a milestone, it's sending them a small gift, or again, a card, or just like picking up the phone and be like, I'm thinking about you. I know it's a big day. I think it's just those small things that feel that extra for the client. It feels like, oh, they really went above and beyond. But for you, it's not that hard to do.
It is really sometimes the littlest things. I mean, if we think about ourselves, when somebody just, out of the blue says, hey, thinking of you, how much that can make our day. And it really didn't take much, and
right.
And there's been times in my life I've gotten so busy that I literally will put reminders in my phone that I'm like, okay, my best friend needs to hear from me every couple of
Yes.
weeks. If nothing else, come up for air, send her a text message. And we've even gotten like a code so that we don't have to hardly do anything except an
Mhm.
emoji to respond to each other because we know how each other is busy. But it's just that brief little moment that's really all
Exactly.
it takes.
Right. And so it's not necessarily about, while it is a unique brand experience, and if you can relate it back to your brand, even better. But, like my card, it's like cheers to effortless marketing. And then it has a recipe to like a cocktail recipe, right? Like if there's something that you can still tie it back to your brand to have that full brand experience. But all it does, it all goes back to just making that person feel like you have thought about them and like, and that they are unique and special and that I mean, we all are very appreciative of any client that we have, right? It takes a lot to get clients. And so when they feel that too, I think that's what's like the magic part.
Can you talk a little bit more about how you came up with your brand and then the different
Yeah,
elements that you incorporate into that?
sure. So my name is District Brand Bar, and it's, I basically each word is a very specific meaning, but I'm from Washington, DC. I love everything about the district. I've lived here for over 20 years. And so it was important to me to incorporate something about DC in there. Even though I founded my business during the pandemic, I still have dreams of working with clients in the city and being out and about in the city. Um, and then brand, obviously, I have a long history with branding and marketing and helping my last organization that I was with for so long. We went through a massive rebrand, and that's when I really fell in love with the whole brand piece. And then the bars, I wanted something that cocktails have always been a passion for me. When everyone comes over, they know they're getting a new cocktail. And to me, I wanted something fun that will keep the creativity going for me. It's just a benefit that other people respond to it as well. But the whole piece about like, crafting your brand recipe and becoming a marketing mixologist. I mean, there's so much to play with and there's so many lessons within there that it just kind of makes it fun for me to get creative and think about how to put it out there. And then I get to also just share like my cocktail journey, which is fun. Yeah. So, I mean, I think for me, obviously, no matter what, even if you have like a fun theme, you still have to have your basics, right? You need to have your messaging down. You need to have that look and feel that excites you. It is going to draw in your ideal audience. I think so much of this is, I say a lot, it's about your ideal audience, but if you do not pick a look and feel or color scheme or something that like you're going to get tired of. I knew I wanted bright colors, but an orange and red theme is going to, for some people, they would just get like so sick of it. So I think it's about, getting those elements that excites you and also works with your audience and will look good on your feed and whatever your goals are.
Like, first off, that you managed to find a way to work, coming up and testing cocktail recipes into your business. I mean,
Yeah.
that's brilliant. Also, I'd never had thought of or considered my branding being a way to inspire me to be more creative
Mm-hmm.
and to try new things. And I don't think that that's something that people consider very often.
Yeah, I would agree. I think, a lot of people, it's just like, well, I'll just put my name on it because, so many of us start as solopreneurs, and I definitely struggled at the beginning. Is it we? Is it I? Like, how am I talking about this business that's just me? But I think, you don't have to have a theme, right? To have that creativity and sort of push yourself. Whenever you're sort of creating content, you want your content pillars, you want those like 3 to 5 categories that you're going to always be talking about and sharing about and giving value on. And I like to have 3 that are very much about your service, your experience, like, what are those things that your business will always be about? So, right, branded marketing for me, for sure. And then I like to have two that are maybe, combine 20% of your content, but that's where you get to really show yourself and be creative and just, infuse your personality and whatever it is you want to talk about for the day. You have that flexibility. And so I think you don't have to necessarily have a theme or one thing to be creative, and just sort of infuse your hobbies or whatever into it too.
I know that, at least for myself, and I've heard this from others, that when you're first starting out in business for yourself, finding the perfect business name and the quote unquote perfect branding can keep people from actually then launching their business.
Yes.
Can you give some advice on that?
Yeah, I'm going through this with a client right now. A lot of people, I think they also have a vision of like where their business, they want it to be. Right. I think a lot of us are creatives and we visualize and we're like, okay, when I start a business, I'm an entrepreneur, like this is how my day is going to be. And this is what I'm going to be wearing when I'm going to see clients and doing all of this. And I don't know, for me, if the pandemic taught us anything, it's that like, we just have to like be flexible and go with the flow, and you don't know what's going to happen down the road. So you should really like just design for right now. Because it's so true. It is harder to switch your name, sure, because you have to get the handles right and, the URL and all of that. And you have the name recognition, but, there are easy ways to rebrand and rename and have a launch where everyone is totally on board and you don't lose anyone. And in fact, can actually build momentum for you and be a positive thing. I would say your look and feel, your messaging, everything else about your branding, minus like the name perhaps, will evolve, like should evolve, right? Because everything about your business changes over time. I started off thinking this was the service I want to provide. Then I did it for a little bit and realized my strengths are somewhere else. So my offerings changed, which means my audience changed a little bit, which means my messaging changed, right? And then I have just, I think, evolved and become better in Canva and better at different things. And so my look and feel has evolved. So I think for sure, branding is something that is not static. And so, do not let it hold you back. Also, my logo was from Etsy for $250. It doesn't cost a lot to really just like jump in, get started. This is where I'm a branded marketing coach, as well as like done for you services, to have that accountability to just like get things moving if you need. But yeah, I would say you need to understand that your branding will evolve, so you don't have to get it perfect off the bat.
And I was going to say, as you're talking, I'm thinking about a local gas station chain in the Midwest. I mean, they've had the same font for their name for years and years, and just recently they changed it. I'm dealing with it because it's not a font I like. It's not that I don't like they changed their font. It's like I don't like that font. But we see like big names changing
all the time.
All the time. I mean, you can look up, Google a history of what Frosted Flakes logo look like. So
I mean, I think just this week Instagram changed their logo, and it's like brighter colors instead of like it's very simple, right? But I bet like over time, in a couple of years, you'll see how this one piece that they did today may evolve into something different down the road. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Google, I know that they've done at least one or two.
And for sure.
Yeah. And now I'll see a picture of an old one. And I'm like, I don't even remember the original right. Google. Yeah.
Yeah.
Google. So at what point in somebody's business should they start considering working with a branding expert or a branding strategist?
So it's either sort of at the beginning or when you've had a shift or you think things get stale. So I work with people in both sort of realms. So I I work with clients who are starting their own business and need help getting it off the ground. You know, a lot of people come in with their expertise and it has nothing to do with brand or marketing. And the idea of having to come up, you know, do the branding and the brand identity and then build up the website and write the copy, you know, it's like overwhelming and they never will start without that extra help. So I help sort of manage through all of that. Or I help people who are probably 3 to 5 years into business and probably DIY'd their brand to begin with, or, you know, maybe hired out, but didn't really have a true sense of who they are, where their business is going, who their audience is. So there's not a lot of personality or uniqueness to the site. It's a fairly, you know, or like their messaging. And so I come in then and we kind of start from scratch. We go backwards and it's like, okay, let's revisit everything. And we think back to, okay, who their audience is. How are you talking to them now? You know, especially I love coming in after they've been working for a few years because they know now their audience so well and they know their pain points. They have that language. They have the testimonials that we can pull out from and use in the copy and all of that. So certainly anytime that you want, just especially like in the marketing side, any point where you just are feeling stuck or you aren't sure what the strategy should be, or, you know, I go all the way from just helping someone set it up in automation because it should be easy and marketing should be effortless, to let's rework the whole strategy and the customer journey and get, you know, become intentional about what you're doing. But yeah, so branding sort of at the beginning, in the middle, and marketing all throughout.
You just said marketing should be effortless. I don't think a lot of people ever think of marketing as effortless. How do you make marketing effortless?
So I think it's about having clarity on your strategy. And so I focus on the know, like, trust path with the customer journey. So like, what are the 1 to 2 places that people are going to find out about you and get to know you? And let's like really hone in on those 2 places and optimize those 2 places. And then where are the 1 to 2 places where then you're engaging with them and they're liking you and they're following you and you're taking them through that awareness journey. We're going to just focus in on those 2 places and optimize those places. And then like, where's probably just like the one place that you're then converting them into clients and sales, and let's really optimize those. So for me, it's about automation, systems, tools, processes. So it's like, it becomes more habitual and it's not so much a struggle because you know, okay, on this day, this is what I do. This is the system I have in place to make it easier to do. I already know the content because I have my brand story so well that I'm so clear on what I need to talk about. And I'm only focused on these few things because that's what's in my customer journey. So I get to ignore all other like shiny pennies and all other advice. So it's really just about the clarity of knowing your brand and what your marketing strategy is, and then setting up those automations and systems and processes and having the right tools. And all of that will make it feel more effortless.
So basically, you don't have to be on all the channels all the time.
No, please don't. It's like once you have one channel down and those systems are in place and they are habitual and you can like, you feel very efficient when you're, you know, creating content for that channel and when you're engaging people with that channel, and you don't feel guilty if you miss a day, like you have peace with that channel, then you can move on to a new one.
I like that advice right there. I think especially people who are entrepreneurs, they're full of ideas and
Yes.
and often early adopters as well. And so, oh, there's a new thing. So it can be a little, next thing you know, you're spending all your time on all the social media channels and you're actually not getting anything else done for your business.
It's true. It is hard. And I am 100% guilty of it. And when I find myself going down that, I turn back to my data also. And I'm like, okay, let me see if what I'm doing is working, against the metrics that I've set up and my goals for the year. And if it's working, then it's like, okay, I have to keep it. If it's not, then I have to start adjusting and, trial and error and testing. Yeah. And then maybe you can switch, but yes.
What are some of the metrics you like to use? Because some of them I feel are kind of like, likes on an Instagram post. People may not have even read the caption. They just saw your picture and you hit a heart button and there you go, because there's somebody you recognize. What are some of the metrics that you use to measure like success on your marketing?
Yeah, so I like to follow my know, like, trust path. So I have 3 brand goals, and these are like the year-long goals I've set, a baseline. I have a baseline and I have a goal that I want to hit at the end of the year. And so for my Instagram is probably my biggest place where I'm sharing my content. So for that, it's my followers. And I wouldn't recommend that for everyone because it may be an email list that they're focused on, but for the most place, the people who are getting to know me are getting to know me on Instagram. So I do followers there. Then for the like is, where am I engaging the most? Where am I keeping, building that community? And so that is my email list. And so then I focus on open rates there. And then for my trust, this is about sales. And so it's about my sales on my digital product and how my landing page there is converting. So, and then I have sort of where I'm just tracking a lot of other metrics for all of the channels, 3 metrics per channel, essentially, just so I can make sure that things are moving right and I'm hitting sort of numbers that I should be hitting. But I only have 3 numbers that I'm actually tracking.
Okay. What are your thoughts on following the latest trends? So, for instance, hopping on Reels, which is the new thing in Instagram, but then also there's trends within Reels. What are your thoughts on that?
So I think you have to do what makes you comfortable and what feels authentic to you and what you enjoy creating. I like, you've seen my Instagram, my captions are more long form, right? Like I like creating a graphic in Canva and then writing long form. However, I know, and that I think keeps my audience engaged. But Reels are a great way to get introduced to new audiences because that's what gets more on the explore page and help people find you. So I think a lot of it is about figuring out, one, what works for you, but also like, what is the goal of this trend? So with Reels, there is a goal and it's about getting other people to find you. And so, and then knowing now that Instagram has come out and said they are prioritizing Reels and video content, that it's basically, if you have said that Instagram is going to be your key channel, then you do have to start hopping on Reels because Instagram's telling you, if you want to stay on this platform and if you want to grow and connect with your audience on this platform, you have to go the video way. Now, other things, I think the latest trend, in terms of the music and other stuff, I think no matter what, people should prioritize original content versus like hopping on a trend. But, for me, it's about, I give it time to where I get comfortable with that trend and I hear from enough people of like the purpose of it, why it's there. I have follow a couple of people that will test stuff out and say, okay, this is what worked for me. This is what didn't. This is what you should be doing. This is what, wait until you hear that stuff and know, okay, if I'm going to jump on this trend, here's how to do it.
If somebody is wanting to get started with working with you or somebody similar, what can they expect in that process? Let's stay with branding and then on the other side with marketing.
So I think we're all different. For me, I think, so number one, like working with me, I'm not a graphic designer. I'm dangerous in Canva, but, so there are a lot of people that for branding, they just assume, okay, I'm just looking for a logo designer. And so they're going to find, so that's different, right? I work with them I manage a logo design. I will work with a graphic designer on behalf of my client to get that design. But for me, we start, with a full action plan. Well, we do some foundational work with the audience, and I do a full audit of, your online presence, what you're putting out there, what needs work. We talk through the customer journey, and then we create a full action plan. And every client is different because every client comes with different pain points and opportunities and challenges. And some may need a full new website, and others just need, copy rewritten for something. But what they really need is a more cohesive look and feel, or they really need is their tight brand story, or they have their brand identity like nailed down and it's perfect, but they haven't been able to translate it into marketing and their content planning. And so we start there. So with my clients, it's a full audit, but then every engagement is very different.
If they're brand new to their business, what steps do you take in helping them find their audience? Because let's just say that they're brand new and they don't even know where to look. They may know who their ideal client is, but how to reach them, how to find them. What's the, market research on that?
It is really market research. Honestly, it is. And I think what I encourage my clients to do and people in my community, and I've done this, is just interviews. I posted in many Facebook groups of who I think my ideal audience is there. And I'm like, I'm looking to, do a ideal client interview, 20 minutes if you fit these criteria. And are willing to give me your time, like, I'd be so appreciative. I'm not selling on these calls. It is truly just to get to research my ideal audience. And in exchange, for me, I offered to review a piece of marketing. But, most of them, I ended up reviewing like their homepage of their website. But some people I've done interviews for, and I've gotten like a Starbucks gift card or something, but you always want to sort of like offer them something in exchange for their time. But that, to me, I did that. I probably posted in like 3 different groups. I got 15 interviews within a day scheduled, and it was unbelievably helpful. Because sometimes you discover after talking to them, when you really are talking about their pain points and where they are at their business and what's their understanding of brand and marketing and all this, like, you're like, okay, well, this isn't my audience, because they're at this point in their, in their marketing, and I'm at, I take people on at the level before or whatever. But it gives you so much clarity about who you really want to work with, because it is about why are you the best person for this? And so it's kind of working backwards. Mm-hmm.
I think that's really important to talk to the people who are part of your ideal audience. I think when you're starting your new business, you tend to outsource to the people who are handy nearby to get their opinions. And, your best friend or your mom are probably not. I mean, they might be, but they're probably not in your ideal client.
Yes. Right. Yeah, exactly. And I think, even when you start off, your first clients may be your mom's friend or your, LinkedIn's person's friend, but you still want to message to, future clients that more encompass what, who you're best to serve. So yeah, talking to more people outside your bubble would be good.
One of the things that I do, and I'm curious what suggestions you give to your clients. I literally, right above my computer screen, I have a picture of my ideal client, as well as her bio and, her pain points and why she would want to work with me, so that anytime I'm sitting down to write an Instagram post, mm-hmm. if I'm wondering, what should I say? I look up and I'm like, okay, we're sitting at a coffee shop. She's asking me questions. What am I going to say? She's right there for me, so I'll never forget. What other suggestions might you have for people?
Yeah, so number one, I love that. Like I said, I think naming the person is great, having that visual. I also have a Canva template if people are really interested on my website. It's a freebie, and it is, an audience persona, an ideal client, the avatar. So you can fill out everything. But I think, thinking like you are talking to one person in the coffee shop's a great idea. But when you're writing a website or a newsletter, or email, just talk to one person. And how would you write it? What do they want to know? I think we get caught up of knowing all of the different types of people who are maybe on your email list, and trying to like, well, are they going to enjoy this? Are they going to enjoy this? And you may actually have like some of you out there may have very distinct separate audiences, but for the most part, you want to be talking to the person who has the most potential to become a client or customer. And that's probably, so if you just write to that one person, you can sort of drown out all other little thoughts in your mind about, well, what this person will think, what this person will think, because you're not writing to them. You're writing to the person that may become your client one day.
Is there something that we haven't covered that you would like to share?
I don't think so. I mean, I think for me, just thinking about, I think we've covered it a lot, but like with branding, it is the full picture. I don't think, it doesn't stop at your logo and messaging. It evolves, and it is like fully includes your marketing strategy as well.
Where can the listeners find you?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram at District Brand Bar. And you can go there. I have a lead magnet that is a marketing checklist. So it's basically a way, like I said, your brand and marketing evolves over time. And this is a way to make sure to keep everything up to date and fresh. And so you can go through that list like once a quarter and just sort of make sure that your brand and marketing still align with where your business is at right then.
And if they want to work with you, you do have a community, don't you?
I do. Yes. I have a community. It's called the Marketing Bar. And it is a low cost place to gather to craft your brand and grow your business with the support of experts and the support of your peers. But basically, it's a great small community. It's only $37 a month right now. You get live one-on-one coaching calls, 24/7 support, and of course that walks you through how to build your brand and craft your marketing strategy as well.
Well, thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, thank you. This was fun.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Here's What I Learned. Be sure you subscribe and leave a review. You can find the show notes at jackiehayes.online/podcast. While you're there, be sure to subscribe to my email list and get access to my free resource library. Until next time.